I know. I was like, I just lined them up. I was like, oh, it's a nice progression.
Sales tax revenue.
Do what? Not really.
Oh yeah.
We are live on YouTube. It's in green. Right, welcome. You know how they add so much yeah.
Great. Thank you. I won't pick my nose or. Child.
Do you memorize it?
Big memorized. Yeah. He sits there and reads it every night.
Yeah.
That's better.
I can't make you wait.
That's tragic. There you go. Best way to start out the morning.
So you beat
Yeah, probably.
yeah, we split quite a bit.
There's one for you, and there's one for me. Time to. You what? Why not?
That's fine. Seattle or
Good morning.
Mind if we do a little video about how to crack crab?
No, we're going to do it not quite this minute. We're going to get started, but we will definitely do it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
I did for a while. I don't know why we're not, if we're not. So we should, for sure. I met them first locally right during COVID when they first came on the show. Yeah. Hi. Welcome, everybody. Nice to have you here this morning. Restrooms are down the hallway. 6134. I don't know why we just didn't do 6123, but my guess is that was Becky's issue. She hates the number 2. I just put out a little taste of crab. Our friends from Keyport are here today with part of our National Seafood Month. And so feel free to have a little taste of crab. The segment's not going to be for a bit, so do what you want. You want to wait? You want to eat now? Your choice. We have Cameron on the electronics today, which normally Sean is on. We have Becky in the producer chair, Loretta Douglas, co-host, and myself. I'm Tom. And we will get rolling here. We're on YouTube. This camera and this camera are live on YouTube. If you ever want to watch us again or watch yourself, see you slug down Annie's breakfast with a smile. Right, Annie? Annie's in the kitchen this morning. Check your blueberry muffin for blueberries. Sometimes she forgets.
No, that's Bridget.
Oh, that's Bridget.
Bridget. Annie
Okay.
always remembers.
All right.
And Bridget's not here, so we can throw her under the bus.
Fancy paper on our show sheet.
I know,
morning.
that's very. The paper?
It is.
Oh. Well, that's your paper, not mine.
I understand.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Don't tell Annie.
I don't know
She
why
doesn't
we're.
let us print in color or use the good paper.
Yes.
So.
Annie, that was all Becky on the show sheet. Just saying. Welcome to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. We are here once again in the kitchen studios of the Hot Stove Society Kitchens. And we are at the beautiful Hotel Andra in downtown Seattle, 4th and Virginia. If you've never been here before, it's worth a visit, maybe a little staycation.
Staycation.
Sometimes we give away nights, so you got to listen in.
We had a winner last week.
And, last week, our winner on the tomato photo contest,
Donnell.
there were some people that were upset they didn't get to see all the pictures.
Mhm.
We got to fix that. How do we fix that?
I fixed it.
You fixed it already?
Yes, go to hotstovesociety.com and Hot Stove Radio.
No,
hotstovesociety.radio.com.
no.
Sean, can you help me out here on this one? Loretta. Okay.
That's the email, but the website is just hotstovesociety.com.
So go to hotstovesociety.com and click on blog, and you can see all the beautiful pictures.
So when we have contests, we'll just post
Yep.
them there.
And
Okay.
if people want, if we can do the tastings, we can do all kinds
Cool.
of things. Yeah. It's a
All
new
right,
project.
write that down. I like that. We have so much to get to today.
And we have a big show today.
We do. And we're just about ready to announce my season of classes coming up. I have a crab cake class, a
Ooh.
meatball take and make class, a make and take, I guess.
Make
it
and
is.
take.
You have to make them before you take them.
Oh, that's a great
And
idea.
a cabbage roll make and take
Your
class.
favorite freezer food.
It really sort of is. Meatballs and cabbage rolls
Yeah.
are something that we put in the family larder, the freezer. Don't forget and put them in the cabinet. It's not good, not a good,
Disappointing.
not a good plan. No, those are coming up. I want to say there's 2 at the end of December, and my crab cake class is the 30th of November. 5 different
Fun.
kinds of crab cakes. Matter of fact, we're going to have crab on the show today. We have beautiful red king crab from Keyport Seafood. So I'm looking forward to that. I've already cut up a bit for our audience. Looks like everyone didn't wait for the segment. They ate their crab segment before the crab segment.
Yes.
We're coming to you, like I said, from the studios here in downtown Seattle. We have breakfast at our live recording. When you buy a ticket, you better hurry because at the 1st of January, ticket prices are going up to $30
Wow.
from our $25 ticket price. So
I think it's time.
We're worth it.
yeah. I don't know if you've been following the news. There's so much news about the minimum wage situation in Seattle. And so we're going to get hit hard. I can tell you that. Starting the 1st of January, our minimum wage is going up $3.01
That's a big jump.
per hour per employee or per person that's on a tip schedule. So that's going to be a chunk. We're going to see how that goes. At the end of the day, it's the customers who have to decide, right? If they can afford to eat out or whatever. So
Right.
we will do what we have to do, but I'm curious how our customers feel about it. Some November classes right here at the Hot Stove. You can find them at hotstovesociety.com. Drink Like an Italian, Piemonte food along with Piemonte wines with Chef Bridget Charters. Unforgettable with Chef Annie Elmore on November the 2nd. Is it not happening? Uh-oh, Annie said, cut that class. I'm not going to...
We'll postpone it to November 23rd.
Okay, Sean, or Cam, will you cut that out for me, please? Till November the 3rd?
23rd.
23rd. Unforgettable coming up on November the 23rd with Chef Annie Elmore. My guess is we must have gotten a nice business group in that night that she was going to do it. The 10th annual Pass the Turkey. That's with me on November the 22nd. So this class I've been doing forever, 10 years. And it's really just a primer on how to make Thanksgiving dinner and some ideas both in a more traditional sense, which is what I grew up with, and maybe adding some little, if you maybe don't want to roast the whole turkey, there's other ways to make turkey.
Yeah. It was
You've
kind
never
of,
had the what we call the nouveau turkey dinner, have you?
no, I insist on the traditional.
Traditional,
But
yeah.
I will say, yesterday we filmed a segment for evening,
Uh-huh.
and you made these like ground turkey stuffed acorn squashes,
yeah.
and I thought that was such a good idea if you were cooking Thanksgiving for just you and another person. You know, you get
Or just
all,
you.
or just you. You get all those good Thanksgiving flavors without needing to,
In a bowl.
Yeah.
In an acorn
In an
bowl.
Love
acorn
that.
bowl.
Yeah.
And the good thing about that really is if you're doing that project for yourself, make 4. Do 2 and then put 3 in the freezer, and then you can just pull them out for single family night suppers. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to have the next 3 nights while you and your mom are up on Orcas Island.
Can't wait. I mean,
Yeah.
you're invited, but you refuse to.
I have a class here Friday night. There's all sorts of things coming up. Fall-filled pastas, French pastry, you name it. On today's show, the Hot Stove Society tasting panel dives into maple syrup.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Do you
so
know what
excited.
trees provide maple syrup?
Maple sugar bush trees.
Well, I hadn't really got that far.
You didn't think she was going to have the answer.
I didn't, but I think of them as sugar maples or hard maples or black maples or red maples.
Okay.
But a sugar bush, who could turn that down? We're wrapping up National Seafood Month with Alaska Red Crab as part of the Seafood 101 campaign with Keyport Seafoods. We're going to build the ultimate seafood platter right after that because it's astonishing to me. These seafood platters, when you see them in restaurants around the country, around the world, it can range anywhere from, say, $100 to $500, depending on if there's caviar or whatever there is on that platter. And people are into it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's
you
such
like
a
it?
good,
I love it. I've had it half shell with 4 people.
Uh-huh.
It's beautiful.
and it's such a good holiday
Special.
special to do at home, I think.
I guess I'm surprised. I kind of fought against it on the menu because
Oh.
it seems like, to me, in my mind, it makes the menu look expensive. And I worry about that sometimes when you see a $250 item on a menu, or I think ours is $125,
I
right?
think it was 100 or
No,
98.
It's like
Yeah.
198.
Anyway,
Four
that I
people?
worry about the image of
Yeah.
it. But
It's special.
yeah, just go have one. Have a bottle of, I think we sell it with a bottle of Prosecco for
And
35
endless French
bucks.
fries.
And endless French fries. My God, what have we become? We're heathens. We're heathens. Backed by popular demand, we talked to Cynthia Nims last week
Mhm.
about keeping kind of household
Preserving
preserving
yeah.
recipes. And she had such a warm heart about the whole thing. And
She
you know,
is passionate.
if you've come here, you've seen my recipe box collection, and
Mhm.
I have a real warm feeling about it. And mine may or may not be. I think we're on the same page, which is mine is when I buy them on eBay for $5 and I get some family's entire history of cooking, it kind of breaks my heart and makes me exhilarated all at the same time, because somebody just went in and just like, okay, this isn't important to me. This is somebody's life
Mhm.
in recipes and words that are kind of what's the word I want? Annotated, you know, where
Yeah.
they in the
Added their own notes.
Annotated.
yeah. Oh, it's just such a fun thing to kind of read through. If you ever want to go on eBay, you can find a lot of them.
Mhm.
You can find
I'm
a lot
gonna-
of recipe boxes, and look for the ones that are full. They'll have a picture
Hot tip.
because you can. It's like reading a biography of somebody's kitchen for 50 years.
Wow.
New York Times bestselling author Julia Turshen is here to share her thoughts on her new book. Loretta, you are a big fan.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
When I saw the show sheet for today, I'm so excited. I couldn't go to her talk this week at Book Larder while she's in town, so we get to talk to her here. I'm so excited.
And you own one of her books already. Is that
I do,
true?
yeah.
What's it called?
She has one of her previous books is Simply Julia, which is just like healthy comfort food recipes, which
Uh-huh.
is pretty much has my name all over it.
Right.
And I love cooking from it. I've probably made 4 or 5 things from it, which honestly, I own a lot of cookbooks. So
Uh-huh,
to
I
have
bet you
made
do.
4 or 5 things from one book is a lot for me. So
When I scan through her new book, it's called What Goes With What? 100 Recipes, 20 Charts, Endless Possibilities. And it's very basic. It's to me, if I was a home cook
A new-
and wanted to know a few pro tips, but really kind of like, let's get started here with confidence, it's a really good book for something like that, in my opinion. And of course, Becky is going to give me the easy questions today and Rub with Love, Food for Thought, Tasty Trivia.
Halloween themed.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Mm.
wow.
Mhm.
Can't wait.
My taste of the week is Jackie and I were over in Prosser for some sad times. Her sister passed away this
I'm
week.
so sorry.
And so we went over there, took care of some of that business. But, you know, you're there together and you you want to get your mind off of things.
Mhm.
So we took on the Prosser Meatball Project for I want to say 3rd or 4th
I
time.
can't believe you did it without me.
Yeah.
Aw.
And it's when you gather a few families together and you all make meatballs together.
Mhm.
And we have, meat in the freezer, ground lamb from our neighbors across the street from their lamb, and some ground beef from our friends at Palouse River Ranch.
Mhm.
Really kind of fatty, beautiful Wagyu beef, hamburger type stuff. Mix that with Italian sausage, 3 different kinds of cheeses. And my little magic mix of when I clean out the refrigerator of all the
Oh, that's
mustard
fun.
jars and all the Chipotle Tabasco and all the herbs from Jackie's garden. Oh, my Lordy, they came out good.
Mm. Loretta, have you
And,
tried them yet?
Loretta is the beneficiary.
I am definitely the beneficiary. I got a cooler full. I think there was
Wow.
literally 5-gallon bags full
Yeah.
of perfect meatballs, which will last my family, like a month.
A month.
But no, we're having them tomorrow. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So.
And it was 650. I have a picture. We'll put it on.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yes.
Yeah, 650 meatballs.
Awesome.
Hand rolled.
And roll.
With
What's
no
your
help
taste of the
from
week?
you.
Real
That's
quick.
my taste.
That's your taste?
That's
okay.
my taste.
Mine is I actually went out like multiple times last week, which never happens. But
You went what?
went out to
Oh, okay,
eat.
yeah.
And I made it up to Sophone in Greenwood,
Uh-huh.
which is getting like a ton of buzz right now. Not Greenwood, Finney Ridge. And it's Khmer food, so Cambodian
Fun.
food. Their cocktail program was so cool, and I had one of the most delicious cocktails that I've had in recent memory. I would say it was they list them kind of by like property. This was the smooth one, and it was tequila, mezcal, acidulated pineapple, sawtooth coriander, nixta, and clarified coconut. And it was like this kind of spicy, tropical. It went so well with the food. It
I
was
bet.
so good.
What's the coriander?
Sawtooth
Hmm.
and then coriander. So, anyways, definitely recommend
And
it.
what's how do you spell it?
Sophon.
Sopone. Sopone. And so what you're really saying, though, is the mother of my 3 young grandchildren is out drinking on the town.
Yes. Yep. But
How
they
do you
also
feel about
do
that,
their,
Becky?
They also do
Well,
their own version of
I know
like
this is rare.
karage chicken.
Uh-huh.
They just go
Ooh,
sit
little
at the
fried
bar,
chicken.
have a cocktail, order their chicken. It's delicious.
Lovely.
It was so fun.
How should I feel about this?
I think
Feel like
she's
you
usually at
should
home.
maybe do some babysitting.
Ooh. How
Be nice.
can I when I'm out on the town drinking cocktails and eating dinner? Hot Stove Society tasting panel comes right up. Maple syrup is our choice of topics today.
Can't
On
wait.
Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society 97.3 FM.
Please clap when I clap, or it's real weird for me up here. Thank you.
Hello, Miss Nims. Absolutely.
Make it work.
I like it.
Oh, and then here's your sheet.
So you're giving all of them 5? So the single one that's coming out is your 5th.
They have a sheet.
They have a sheet already? Okay. All right. This.
Yes.
So ours is blind, theirs is not.
Well, yes, it is. If you...
Oh my God. The Woodinville whiskey one is just like my favorite syrup ever.
You guys are set.
Oh, no, I'm fine. Something totally foreign to us. They don't fit in your brain's classification.
If you're fasting, this will make your system go crazy.
I know.
Trina, can you pick up the pace a little bit, please?
So sorry.
What's that? Number
Not for me. We should have gotten like a log cabin. Put it in
That's
there.
not maple syrup.
But what's interesting about this one is the prices.
Yeah.
Oh, you know I can do.
All right, we're back here in the kitchen at the Hot Stove Society show. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you're kind of cleaning up your garden for the season and getting ready to put everything to bed. I know we had to pick the last of our tomatoes. We brought the pumpkins over, the Jackie grew. They're going up to Orcas Island with you guys. Everything is winding down in the garden. Had our first frost at the farm.
Ah,
And I believe we're having our first frost this week in Seattle. So,
it feels it.
all right, Becky, tell us what's in front of us here, and let's move forward.
Okay, we've got pure maple syrup.
So excited.
And we're not doing anything that has high fructose corn syrup, no log cabin, no Aunt Jemima, sorry. And it's a little overwhelming to have 5 tastes, but we put them in order. And have you tasted them yet?
I have tasted them.
I have
thought
too.
there were some distinctive characters. And I'm going to say one thing. Number 5
Mm-hmm.
is a separate taste. Even though it came off the plate, because it's an altered maple syrup,
Wow.
right? It's barrel aged.
Yes.
And so we can talk about that and love it and hate it or whatever we want to do. But to me, the first 4,
Mm-hmm.
which are
Yeah.
Kirkland Signature Organic, Trader Joe's Organic. So Kirkland is Canada, Trader Joe's is from Vermont, Field Day Organic from USA and Canada, and Shady Maple Farms Organic from Canada. And they range in price, with the Kirkland Signature brand being 44 cents an ounce, and all the way up to $1.49 an ounce for Shady Maple Farms Organic.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one we're going to try when we're done with this first part of the tasting is the Woodinville Whiskey Company maple syrup, which I believe is aged in whiskey barrels.
Yep.
So-
Recently used
Bourbon barrels, yeah.
That one was a gift. From
I
a-
made Becky put this one in because, well, we'll get there.
We'll get there, yeah.
Get there.
Okay, Loretta, do you want to lead us off?
Yeah, I actually was a little bit surprised. So my typical buy is the Shady Maple.
Uh-huh.
And I do like it. But I actually, in my taste, I ranked the Kirkland Signature first and above it.
Isn't that funny? That was my least favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, for me, the Field Day was like by far the worst to me.
Mhm.
So I'm so curious. Yeah, I like the Kirkland Signature fine. For me, I don't think it's $1 an ounce price
Mhm.
difference from the Shady Maple that I've been.
And for those
Right.
of you in the audience, if you just take your sheet and flip it over, you can do blind tasting, or you can look and see how they are.
So I probably jumped the gun a little bit. So what is maple syrup? So it's the art of sugaring a maple tree.
Yes.
Typically a sugar maple, a hard maple, a black maple, or a red maple. There's more scientific names for all of those. But
Those work.
and
yeah.
you said a maple sugar bush, which I'm not sure what that represents
And that's
in
probably
a tree world.
right. I think they're all the same.
Okay.
I mean, I think
All
they're all
right.
the same. I know my question is, why is maple syrup so expensive?
And you looked that up.
I looked it up. And the reason is because maple sugaring, the art and science of removing water from maple tree sap, is a time-intensive process. It takes 40 gallons of sap to produce just 1 gallon of syrup. So then you can kind of see, and it's hard work as well. It's a limited resource that requires year-round work, including maintaining tap lines, often damaged by fallen trees, little squirrels that are gnawing at the tubes, and even moose can trample them. So you kind of get to understand.
Even moose?
Even moose, yes. So it's a year-round hard work in the cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you don't want to do that, you can go for 23 cents an ounce and you can get some Mrs. Butterworth's, where all the ingredients here is pure maple syrup.
Uh-huh.
Ingredients in something like a Mrs. Butterworth's is number 1, high fructose corn syrup, water, cellulose gum, cane syrup, caramel color, sodium hexa, blah, blah, and like 5 other things that I can't
Right.
even pronounce.
Right.
So what happened to me is a friend was visiting from out of town and he was going to a divey little Seattle favorite. And he asked if he could borrow some maple syrup because he knew that they would have pancake syrup.
Uh-huh.
So he brought one of whatever was in my cupboard, and then he sent me back this barrel-aged Woodinville whiskey one as
Uh-huh.
a treat.
Right.
So
And so for me, when I was running breakfast programs at my restaurants, Cafe Sport in particular, it wasn't mine, but it was where I was the chef. Way back when, I used to buy maple syrup in a 10-gallon or a 5-gallon tin,
Mm-hmm.
like a steel tin, and
Classic.
had to pour it out into smaller containers. But that was the cheap way to buy it. And this was also for our bakery. That's how you would buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was always had 3 different grades, right? There was the
Right.
A, the B, and the C. And I always related them to coloring.
Mhm.
To me, the only place I could ever even find B in a retail setting was at a Trader Joe's.
Right.
I used to literally go to Trader Joe's and buy one thing, B grade
B
maple
grade.
syrup, because I liked a little bit darker.
Mhm.
What I've read is that the lighter generally is more springtime, and it darkens
Exactly.
as the season goes all the way to the fall. Don't know if that's
What I've
That's-
read recently is they've actually done away
Yeah.
essentially with anything other than
They all name them A
grade
now.
A.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
really?
everything's
Just 'cause they
grade
didn't
A.
sell?
It's just an amount of color. I don't think it's a sale thing. I think it is like the quality or
It's all about the quality.
Yeah.
And the FDA in 2015 changed it,
Uh-huh.
and Vermont was very happy.
but so all grade A maple syrup must be unfermented, even in color, sediment free, not cloudy or hazy, maple flavor characteristic of its color class, and no objectionable odor or taste. So you can have grade A golden, grade A amber, grade A dark, and grade A very dark.
Yeah, and I tend to personally go for the
Darker.
darkers. Yeah, because I want more flavor. I find like the Kirkland one that we're trying today just is so light in flavor that I feel like it could have been maybe reduced more or something. I'm not
Ah.
exactly sure.
But that's why it was the least expensive at 44 cents an ounce.
Yeah, but obviously it's not a reduction issue because they all have the same viscosity.
Yeah.
That's true.
So,
So what was your favorite? of the-
so I have to say my favorite. So again, I'm going to just say what they are: Kirkland, Trader Joe's, Field Day, Shady Maple. I would say for me, Shady Maple was my favorite.
Mhm.
And you said
Loretta?
that was your least favorite. Is that?
No, I said that's my second.
Oh, okay.
Or, I honestly think I think it's more that it's interchangeable to me with the Kirkland and it's $1 difference in price per ounce. So I guess I don't find enough difference to me to justify that,
the price.
the price.
Especially with
difference.
3 kids.
Yeah, we go through a lot of syrup at my house.
I did ask if Loretta had a bottle of Kirkland she could bring. She said, my fridge isn't that big to keep that. No way.
Yeah. My doors aren't like wide enough to hold the bottle. So
It's funny how my mother's pantry changed when all the kids left home. She had 8 children,
Right?
and as soon as she was down to maybe 2 or 3 kids, she went to butter from Oleo,
Uh-huh.
margarine, and she when she got down to 0 kids, she went to real maple syrup instead of log cabin, which is what I grew up on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, let's
Do you
talk
have a
about
favorite?
I actually really liked the Shady Maple. I like the Kirkland. The Trader Joe's and the Field Day were a little too sweet, if that makes sense.
It doesn't because
doesn't,
it's sugar maple.
Yeah. But I really love the last one.
Uh-huh.
yeah, what do you? So
okay,
I'm
so
curious.
let's talk about
'cause
the last one now.
the last one is this is my like indulgence. I don't give it to my kids on their pancakes. I eat it only on mine because it's very
Wow.
expensive and they don't care. I mean, they're one. But it's $2 and almost 50 cents an ounce, but it's made
Compared
by
to 44 cents an ounce
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
Kirkland.
it's
yeah.
made by Woodinville Whiskey. They age it in their bourbon barrels. I think it is amazingly delicious and fantastic, and an actual syrup that changes the flavor or profile of what you're putting it on.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
And you can throw the jar or the thing in the dishwasher and you've got a pretty little jar now that you can reuse.
Oh, there's always that, Becky. Thank you for that. So just to be clear, I don't imagine Woodinville is making the syrup. They are taking
Yeah.
Correct.
syrup that they buy in bulk, putting it into bourbon barrels, and using some of the char from the bourbon barrels. It actually colors the syrup to a much
Mhm.
darker color,
Right?
and you pick up some of the vanillins from the oak.
Yep. And they're getting just from the USA.
Yeah.
Yep. So what are your favorite things to
So do you feel it's worth $2.50?
Well, it was
per
a
ounce?
gift. I think it's a fun thing to buy for people as a gift, a nice
Yeah.
little hostess gift or something. And I think it's delicious. We don't go through a lot of maple syrup. If I was making a salad dressing, I wouldn't use that. I'd use the Costco or something else. But if I was just putting it over ice cream or something really special, absolutely.
Your mom makes a beautiful maple ice cream with no
You have
eggs.
it in your cookbook. Yes.
Yeah. And this would be a really nice
Yeah,
thing
like an
to
extra
make
layer
out
of
that
flavor in
maple
there.
Yeah,
syrup.
that would be
Yeah.
worth it.
I think it's delicious.
Well, thanks
Thank
for
you
trying,
for letting me do
guys.
this
You
tasting,
bet.
Becky, because I'm so
Actually-
happy and sugared up now.
This was inspired by a listener,
Yep.
Jacqueline, who wrote in and asked if we could do a maple syrup.
All right. And
So
what
thank
did
you,
what did our audience think? What number? Just raise your finger for what number? 5, 4? A lot of fours out
Fours and
there. A lot of
fives.
4s and 5s.
4s and 5s. So that would be Woodinville is 5, and then the Shady Maple.
You guys
Number
have
4.
expensive taste.
All right.
We're going to wrap up our celebration of National Seafood Month. Local fishing organizations, the Port of Seattle and Seattle Propeller Club, joined forces for the Seafood 101 campaign, and we're going to talk with them when we come back on Cairo Radio, the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
I like that idea over vanilla ice cream, Becky.
Yeah,
I'm
isn't that
going to do
nice?
that. Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Scoot in as close as you.
Yes, sir.
Can we lift that mic up at all, or is that as high as it goes?
Okay.
We'll trade mics with them if you could.
Yeah.
Good.
And you want to be like almost on top of it.
Okay.
Did you try the syrup?
I did.
What'd you like?
I like the 5. Got a bottle of that in my cupboard at home.
Yeah.
Love it. Perfect.
Thanks for sharing your gift with us. Like this.
All right, we're going to practice on the mic. Listen to me and listen to me. Isn't that sexier?
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. So be
Listen to
sexy.
me.
That's the idea.
That's
want
what
our-
our show is all about here.
We want your NPR voice. These are the folks that brought you the delicious crab that Cynthia Nims was too late for, I think. That's too bad. That's too bad. Bring this to Cynthia, would you please? Put your fingers all over it first.
He won't do it. He's too polite.
She's back there, tears, crocodile tears in her eyes.
Thank you.
Don't give her any utensils.
Oh no. My tea bag exploded.
Oops. All right, welcome back. I'm Tom Douglas.
I'm Loretta Douglas.
We are wrapping up our celebration of National Seafood Month. Mark Casto, a boat owner and retired skipper of the FV Pinnacle.
Yes, sir.
Wow. And Joanne Kennedy are here. She's the director of marketing for Keyport Seafoods, just Keyport.
Keyport LLC.
Keyport LLC, representing they're representing the Alaska Bering Sea Crabbers, donating 10 pounds of king crab today. That's why you each got 1 ounce. Joke.
Yeah, if you think maple syrup's expensive.
I know, exactly. So welcome to the show.
Thank
Why don't
you.
we start with you, sir, and tell us about what you do.
I'm Mark Casto. I was owner of the Pinnacle. I've been working on deck since I was graduated from high school in
Really?
1986. Worked my way up to the captain's chair,
Uh-huh.
and been driving boats in the Bering Sea for pretty much 36 years.
Was your family in crabbing? Like, how did you get into it right out of high school?
Yeah, my dad was he started fishing in the Bering Sea in the early 70s or mid 70s, I guess. And we'd fly up in
He
the
was
summer.
he was just bored in Lake Washington or
No,
what? Jeez.
he was a coastal crabber, so.
Oh, okay.
So, and he took the big leap into the Bering Sea, and then we'd go up and visit him. We spent our summers. I spent my summer every year in Alaska since I was like 10 years old.
Uh-huh.
And
And
it got in my blood, and I loved it.
is it, it's dangerous sport up there.
It can be very dangerous.
Yeah, and I guess I'm questioning. So you're a coastal crabber, which isn't not dangerous, right?
No, it's
Waves
just-
are waves,
yes.
but is it the idea that there's gold up there?
It was the draw
in a funny way.
big,
Yeah,
the big crab rush of the early 80s, late
Mhm.
70s was pretty huge. It was a big draw.
yeah, exactly. And you, my dear,
I'm Joanne Kennedy. I work for Keyport, and Keyport basically we're kind of boat to table. So we take the crab after Mark catches it, and we do everything, processing it, preparing it, all the quality chain to take it to restaurants and to retailers. And my background is in the wine and food business in marketing, and so it's been kind of exciting for me for the last 6 years working in the seafood business and bringing some of those sensibilities about the kind of details we get into about wine, which we don't always get into with Alaska crab. So it's been really fun working with the captains and all the folks across Alaska to kind of get a little more detail to consumers about
Right.
the different types of crab.
So do they come to you live?
No. So
okay.
actually what most people don't know about Alaska crab is usually it comes to Mark live.
Right, exactly.
But our job is we cook it and freeze it. And so
Okay.
most Alaska crab is delivered to the lower 48 frozen. And that just preserves that wild flavor. And also that big encasing of ice glaze around it is what keeps the meat so tender and special.
Okay.
that's a fairly new process, that glazing, isn't it? Isn't that the last 20 years?
Pretty much. They've been
Yeah.
glazing for a while, but they take way more care in doing it now. It's the glaze is really what sets the flavor in the crab.
Uh-huh. It's also when you get a box, like when you buy a box at Costco or when you buy, a big thing and you put it in your fridge to like wait. You
You
have to
better
put,
be prepared
You have to
for
put a
some-
drip pan underneath because it is very drippy.
You definitely want a rimmed sheet.
Yes,
pan.
exactly.
Yeah.
My wife came home. I had a 10-pound box from Costco. My wife came home and took the pan out that I had a hotel pan underneath it, and because she had farm vegetables to put in there. Next thing you know, I have got crab juice running through my garage
Mhm.
a day later. And
Yeah,
it's
that's not good.
Not
Not
pretty.
good.
No. Past few years, super challenging, right? There's
It
been
has
lots
been.
of chatter in the industry about being able to crab at all because of the big die-off. What's going on?
Yeah, it was, there was like a perfect storm happened. It was like this huge biomass of snow crab came in, and the Bering Sea was warming up, and it was just these all sorts of, it just all happened at one time.
Right.
And shut down the snow crab fishery for first time in my career, first time ever in the Bering Sea that was shut down. So it's a good sign now that we're doing the summer surveys and stuff, and it's, they're showing positive results of shutting it down, making sure that the fishery stays sustainable. So,
Right.
So you are seeing some rebound.
Oh yeah.
Great.
All
It must be
across-
so frustrating when the rest of the world maybe doesn't shut down, but we do, and it's
Yeah,
got to
it was
be
ju-
frustrating as a fisherman.
It was just this freak thing. It was like, it all happened, all the fisheries at
Wow.
pretty much at the same time in the Bering Sea.
So is their theory correct that the water got warm and the crab stopped eating, or the food source for the crab just moved on because of the warm water?
I think the food source moved further north in the Bering Sea. 'Cause
Uh-huh.
this cold pool that comes down every year from if the ice comes down and, let the predators up, wasn't as much feed, where the normal crab lives. So it was literally a perfect storm of,
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break because I think our mics might be too close together. Is that possible, Sean?
User error, maybe.
Okay, talk to me again.
check.
Just say hi.
Hi, how's it going?
All right. I don't hear it there. All right. All right. So when you think about, well, there it is again, Sean. When you think about the crab fishery and its management, it goes back to the Magnuson-Stevenson Act. Is that right?
You're probably more qualified to take that, but
Yeah, no, it does. It goes back to the Magnuson-Stevens Act, which is was put in to help make sure that Alaska fisheries were all sustainable.
Right. And a classic across the aisle workmanship, I will say, that used to happen more than it does now.
And it's really an incredible collaboration that you see up there now between the fishermen, the coastal community, the scientists.
Uh-huh.
I was amazed when I came into the industry just how many people are part of that decision every year. And even though it's frustrating when the fisheries close, it's really a part of the decision of the fishermen just to make sure we're preserving this for future generations.
Absolutely.
So it's what makes Alaska crab unique, really.
It's part of the mission, according to what I've read, of the Alaska Bering Sea Crabbers, the
Right.
ABSC, is to make sure that it's there for your
Yeah.
kids or your kids
I mean,
or
it's
whoever.
nothing the crabbers want more than to see the fishery rebound and be sustainable.
So, Loretta, you don't eat crab because it's too expensive for your babies, but you do eat it when you come to my house.
I do eat it when I come to your house, and I feel like Alaskan king crab. It's like one of the great delicacies to me of the world. I mean, it's rare that you see such like perfect lump meat like that, I think. And, when you're used to eating blue crabs or Dungeness or even Dungeness, where you have to really like work for that a little bit more. And when you get these, it's not that much work. It comes to you almost perfect as it is.
It's not that much work. I love how she says that. Yeah,
Well, it's not
because
that much
I
work to
always
eat.
shuck it for her. Exactly.
You cut it in half usually.
I put it on the half shell essentially.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways to shuck the crab once it's cooked. And I tend to kind of, when I'm serving it in a big group like that as an appetizer, I'll cut maybe 1 or 2 inch pieces and literally put it on the half shell of the crab leg.
That's
And
exactly what I do. Yeah.
yeah, it's a beautiful product and people's eyes just light up. How do they buy this from you?
Well, pretty much if you're buying Alaska crab from a retailer or from a restaurant, it's a good chance that you're buying it from Keyport. So
Uh-huh.
we're all over the place. You can just kind of go and ask, but it's online. There's a lot down Pikes Market. Most of the local seafood stores here are carrying Alaska crab, and they usually do a pretty good rotation throughout the year.
Uh-huh.
So if we have a lot of Red King, like we're fishing Red King right now, and then that'll be followed up by Bear Eye, Golden King, Snow. So there's all year round, there's good Alaska king crab and
Uh-huh.
other types of crab here.
I remember you guys came on the show maybe 3 or 4 years ago and you brought a case of Bear Eye
Yeah.
crab. God, that was so good. And I've been selling snow crab down at our restaurants, Seatown and Half Shell, but there's the Bear Eye is a specific, like a larger version of that is so good.
And I think Mark fished that for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Just we're actively delivering king crab right now. So like as we speak right now.
So do they go in season? I mean, do
Yep.
they go
So
in
we're gonna
rounds?
learn-
Kind of all the crab doesn't come at the same time.
Yeah, no. So they started with actually brown golden king.
Golden
crab.
King is fishing.
Golden
yeah.
King started in August, and then we October 15th king crab started, and then we're going to straight pretty much from that into Bear Eye.
So you're back open all the way.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
Bear Eye, and then this year, we have snow crab back this year
Okay.
too. So it's pretty exciting.
Huh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're fans of the Bay Cafe out there at Fisherman's Terminal,
Oh, yeah.
so we're always
Yes.
seeing the big crabbing boats. Loretta's son Hercules runs around the docks with me and look at the big crab boats. And
Nice.
yeah, it's awesome.
Yep,
It's always exciting when they come back in town because we're spending most of our time texting them or, Instagramming them. And so to see them in person when they come to Seattle is always fun.
Yeah, that was always my favorite. Coming back through the locks and wife and kids on the
On the dock.
On the
dock
dock waiting.
That was every
How
time
long
was-
are you out at a time?
The boat's going to be gone, all through pretty much into March probably this
Wow.
year. But they did, they left early October. They'll be back probably mid-December, home for the holidays, and then right back at
Right
it
back
after
out.
the first of the year.
That's an interesting lifestyle to build.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's been married for 33 years, I guess, and it was a lot for both of us to make it work.
Absolutely.
I think my wife has started the farm in Eastern Washington just for that reason, is to get a little time away from this one
Maybe
right
that's
here.
why it worked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming in. I can't really give everyone a crab leg to go home with, so we're going to feast on it for lunch today here
Nice.
at the hot stove. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. Anything else we should know about when you're buying this, what to look for? Because I always think about it should be a heavy leg, right? If it's a light leg for its weight and size, it's probably not very full on the inside of the shell.
Yeah, sometimes the crab, when they molt, they're growing new muscles to fill that shell out. So looking for heavy ones, looking for ones that have good glaze on them, and asking for, of course, Alaska king crab.
There you go.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I think that's the key thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alaska and Keyport. Don't forget Keyport.
Well, yeah, and we always say too, like today we brought the medium-sized crab because sometimes for a home chef, that really large leg, which has pound and a half of meat in it, can be a little overwhelming. But the medium one, we find is most people can prepare and cut up pretty easily.
Let's just say I'm a home chef also, but I love those big legs. Mark Casto, boat owner and retired skipper of the FV Pinnacle, and Joanne Kennedy from Keyport LLC, Director of Marketing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having us.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to turn this crab into a seafood platter on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. All right, let's do a quick video.
Yeah.
Coming in and
Happy Crab Day. Don't be crabby. There you go.
red side out.
Perfect.
Wait, you want to do the video now?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Show the grandkids.
Send pictures.
So when I'm dealing, are you ready? When I'm dealing with king crab, I like to slack it out naturally, not under running water. Breaking the section. If you want to see this, it's a picker. My favorite way to do it is just use a pair of scissors. And just go up and down both sides of the shell. They're softer than they look. The shell are. And then just trim it up, garnish, and there you have a little crab on the half shell. And when you get to the bigger legs, the real goal, see, the cartilage comes right out when you pull the section apart. The real goal is to try and not bring up the leg meat. Right? It looks so beautiful when it's on a whole shell. There's a whole right there. And I'll just put this out like that as a cocktail left. How pretty is that, huh? A little warm butter, and you are in business.
Awesome. That was awesome.
Thank you. Got here, Ken?
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
For your partnership this month.
You hand this to Trina for helping us serve all that maple syrup. So what I feel, are you ready? All right, just go back to the fridge. So what I'm dealing, are you ready? What I'm dealing. Who loves you?
More than me. He loves
Oh,
her more than me. I
Any
love
day
her
of
more
the
than you.
week. All right, we're back here in the kitchen at the Hot Stove Society. How's everyone doing out there? Have you had breakfast yet? How'd Annie do today? Pretty good? Yeah, all right. Way to go, Annie.
Lots of smiles.
Lots of smiles. We've had crab already this morning, king crab. We've had 5 different maple syrups. We are rocking and rolling here at the Hot Stove Society radio show. If you ever want to come down and visit, be part of this exciting group, you can just go to hotstovesociety.com. And I think it's $25. You get breakfast, going up to $30 Jan 1.
Okay, rush
So,
in.
Careful out there. You don't want to break the bank. Not the hot coffee too.
Right?
Yeah, hot
Tea,
coffee on top.
coffee.
All right, let's build
Tastings?
a seafood platter.
All right.
So, for those of you who don't know, we have reopened Edda's Seafood, named after Loretta, my daughter, 30 some years ago or so, close.
Don't age me.
And she was never happy with that she had a restaurant named after her. You were just a bit of a pill about it. I don't know why. Most people would be
Is
honored.
that true or false?
I just feel like this is a false memory, but
Bit of a pill about it. Still. And we had an opportunity. We had a barbecue pop up down there for about a year, and then decided that wasn't our direction, and he decided to head back towards Seafood Land.
Mhm.
Place had seafood in its bones. It was Cafe Sport before that, before Edda's, and blah blah blah. Now we're Half Shell. Loretta, tell us about how Half Shell came about.
yeah, so we were ready to make a change. I think coming out of COVID, we did our pivots. There were many of them. One of them was barbecue. It allowed us to, I think cook more things off site, work with less staff when we couldn't have them, all of the things. As we kind of came out of that, it felt like time to get back to our seafood roots there. But I think because we had used the name Edda's for so long before, people had such a relationship with that restaurant. And then we had maintained the name Edda's when we were also doing barbecue for a bit there. It felt like it was time to clean the slate and start fresh. And it can be hard. People have celebrated for years, birthdays and anniversaries and special dinners at a place. And when they come back there and it's not the same, the name is the same, but the restaurant's not the same, or the menu items aren't the same, their favorite things aren't necessarily there anymore. That's a hard thing to contend with. So I felt like it was time to start fresh. So, and we also, we're putting in a C bar in a way that we hadn't had there previously. So Half Shell felt like the right move.
Mhm.
And we focus on oysters there, but really seafood in general, everything that we can get out of the market and coming in local. And the seafood platters that we do there have kind of been the thing,
Mhm.
I would say.
Well, the thing really has become our happy hour there
Yeah.
in a funny way. It is crazy.
Yeah.
There's people that we close between 2:30 and 3 from brunch on the weekends. Or I think we're brunch Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right?
We're brunch just in the winter. We're brunch just Saturday,
Oh,
Sunday.
just Saturday,
but we do
Sunday.
lunch Thursday, Friday.
Okay. So, but we close for a half hour before happy hour starts at 3 because it is crazed. And people are now lining up and signing up for happy hour reservations. They'll sit there and wait for 30 minutes and come in for our $2 oysters.
$2 oysters.
Yeah.
You can't beat it.
And I know I've personally been down there shucking, and like our busiest night ever, we did 3,700 oysters
Wow.
with 5 different shuckers.
Wow.
And you literally just shuck as fast as you can.
Did anyone get injured?
No, not that night.
Ah.
Honestly, it's when you're a little slower that you kind of
Your
lose
head's
your
not
focus.
in the game.
You lose your focus, and you start chatting with the bartender while you're shucking, and next thing you know, you got a knife in your hand, and that's
Okay.
not good.
Next thing you know.
Next thing you know,
Yeah.
and that's why they make Band-Aids
And that's the seafood platter no one
and
wants.
rubber gloves.
Mhm.
So anyway, Half Shell has been all about that. So I think the focus of this segment is more about our pearl platters or our,
Mhm.
what do we call them now? Seafood supremes or
I
pearl
think
platters?
they're called the pearl platter.
Mhm.
It's like the pearls from the Pacific Northwest is
Ah.
what we call it.
Ah.
Oh, I love
And
that.
it's a whole assortment of our sea bar menu on one platter. So it has obviously oysters on the half shell. It has shrimp, snow crab, scallop crudo, which is one of my favorites, and then either smoked black cod or smoked salmon
Mhm.
on there.
But what's so
Um,
special is you're just saying the proteins, but they come with like beautiful green butter.
Oh, each one is
Mhm.
done kind of individually and then served with its own accompaniment.
Mhm.
On the platter,
On
yeah.
the platter, like some kind of sauce. So yeah, it's not just like a raw or a, peeled shrimp kind of thrown
No, it's
on there.
amazing. It's
They're
So
all-
if you're
Beautiful.
building I think the point of this is like, if you were to build a seafood
At
platter, what would
home.
you do? So for us at the restaurant, we have these insulated stainless steel platters so
Mhm.
that, because when you put ice into a metal pan, it sweats and becomes this wet, drippy thing. And when you have the insulated ones, just like you might see in a champagne bucket or a big something from Front Gate, the
Mhm.
catalog, that
Yep.
big wine bucket that you would buy for
I
your
know what I want for
picnics.
Christmas now.
But anyway, so these things are not super expensive. I want to say $50 a piece for about a 12-incher. And they're insulated so you can build and you can take your time to build, and the ice doesn't melt in an instant.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so the other thing about it that I like, we sell so many oysters that our little ice machines that do grated ice can't keep up.
Oh,
And so we have gone to a cube on the bottom and then flaked ice over top of that. And what happens is the flaked ice kind of freezes on the ice itself.
uh-huh.
It creates this kind of frost effect. And I kind of like that.
I love
expecting-
the look of the flake ice because it's fluffy and beautiful. And I
Uh-huh.
think you can like nestle the seafood in it more easily. But yeah, it does melt quick. So in a restaurant setting, it's not always ideal.
No, it's not. And plus, I think this off season, I'll buy a bigger flake ice machine so
Mhm.
that we can go back to that now that we have the insulated trays. Okay, so from there, I like to build it up to the edge of the tray so that your seafood isn't sunk into the bottom of the tray. Right?
Okay.
So you're trying to create this little bit of a mound in the center and then
Bounty.
down to the
A
edges.
bounty. I like that.
Bounty, and so that your seafood platter has an arc to it around the top. And so then in the center, we put a little thing of our some of the
Vignettes.
salal
Vignette.
leaves.
Oh, yeah.
And then I like when I'm building, I put my sauces together
Uh-huh.
in the center. Like, for example, our shrimp have a tomatillo salsa. Our oysters have a rice vinegar mignonette. Our smoked fish has a
Fennel
Fennel
jam.
jam.
fennel
yeah.
jam. So each one has its own little accompaniment. So I like to put those in the center, and then I bring down to the edges from the center the seafood that matches the accompaniment. So
I think the key for me is treating each thing separately. Like that it's not just this platter of raw and cooked fish with one mignonette that you're dipping it in, but it's really about you actually have 5 separate dishes that you happen to be kind of putting on one plate, because one of the reasons I've never loved a seafood platter before is like I get a little bit bored. Yes, dipping your seafood in melted butter or things like that
or
is
cocktail sauce.
or cocktail sauce is delicious, but everything ends up tasting a little bit the same. And so I think if you're trying to impress or you have the time to do it at home, doing something a little bit special with each ingredient that you're putting on goes a really long way. So like we torch our shrimp
Mhm.
to order to really like crust the spice rub that we're using on it. And we torch the smoked black cod also to bring kind of the sugars back to the outside of the fish and make sure that it's really well caramelized.
And also, too, in a funny way, you don't want everything super ice cold.
Exactly.
Right.
Even though it's going to be put on top of ice, I want my smoked salmon and stuff to have a little room temperature quality to it, which is what using your kitchen torch.
Yeah, play with texture and temperature.
Mhm. It's not
and-
hot. I don't
Yeah.
mean to say that it's hot, but yeah.
But I totally agree. I just think it makes it more interesting, more impressive, more delicious. and maybe different than what your kind of typical seafood platter would be.
Well, it is beautiful down at Half Shell. For 4
Thanks.
people, the platter is just a treat.
And
And
just
then
do
we
the
have- what's
endless
our
fries.
little up-
They're the best French fries
They
ever.
are.
For $35, you can get a bottle of
Prosecco.
bubbles of some kind and endless French fries that they will come refill for you. And they're these like really thick, beautiful cut French fries. And
Dip them in all those sauces.
And that's only with the pearl platter.
that's only with the pearl platter. Yeah. So
Just saying. Want to be clear. When we come back, Cynthia Nims is going to rejoin us and continue our conversation from last week about family heritage and family recipes on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Get up here, Nims.
Keyport brought a bunch of swag along. So if anybody wants a T-shirt or a hat with the crab on it, you can go and help yourselves.
Becky will get you.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention the swag. We got swag.
That's not my first rodeo. I'll talk directly into the microphone.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Yeah.
Okay.
6134, yes. I have a Sharpie if you want me to write it on your forehead.
Hi. Hey, Loretta. It's nice to see you. Trying to find Ken to send this video to.
Oh, that's very cool. Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much.
I'm going to wait for it to calm
Yeah,
for a
of
second.
course. Sure. Nordstrom rack sale.
Everybody got excited about this swag.
Okay, I need.
Probably should have said after show.
Thanks, Becky.
All right. Another lesson, Tom.
I was going to say, if you said ever had, you need to get a license.
Oh, I'm glad.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
I
glad
like your
you came.
priorities.
There it is.
That's sweet.
All right, we're going to ask you to
Get going. Oh, yeah.
continue the process here. Oh, getting crabby with it right there.
Nice.
We are back in the kitchen here at the Hot Stove. Everyone's picking out their Keyport LLC gear, their swag. The crab folks brought us a bunch of swag. Boy, our audience is making out today.
Oh, big time. But there's no booze vendor here today, so
Oh, okay.
they'll be okay.
But we had the bourbon barrel maple syrup.
That's true.
Yeah. Cynthia Nims, welcome back to the hot seat.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks
How-
for having me back.
How was your king crab?
Oh my gosh, it was so good. Thank
Wasn't
you
it
for
good?
saving me a bite. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sorry Trina ate it all, but that's okay. Welcome back. We're going to continue our thoughts from last week.
Yeah.
Do you remember where you left off?
Oh, not exactly. Do you?
Okay. Well, I think I'll just preface it because sometimes people hear the shows at different times. So I'll
Right.
just
For sure.
preface that to tell us about your writing class that you're doing, and
For
that
sure.
maybe in January we'll try and do a class here.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I would love to do that. So I developed this workshop based on the fact that in the, 4 or 5 years ago ish, I started to think more about the value that family recipes hold.
Mhm.
Not just that we get to cook that macaroni and cheese the way my aunt cooked the macaroni and cheese, but that the recipe itself, making it connects us with people, connects us with our history, our family tradition, and getting the story that goes with it, and remembering the events that it was at, and maybe who she learned it from, and all these different things. So it became clear to me, well, I just started thinking more about that, the value of recipes in family connection. So I developed a workshop that actually helps people sort of think about how to do this, to even be aware of the fact that they're missing out on getting these recipes maybe,
Right.
and that they should take advantage of every opportunity to get the recipe, talk to the person who
While
made
people
it.
are still alive.
Well, yeah, while they're still around. Yeah.
And one thing when you say family, I know you use that term
Exactly.
loosely.
Yes.
So who else? I mean, anyone in your life,
Yes,
right?
yes. I use the term
Colleague.
family very, very loosely. So it's like in my case, it's a next door neighbor that I grew up next to, and I have some recipes from her. It's it's colleagues, it's people that you even that you know from your church or whatever. It can
Right.
be anybody in your circle, anybody that is the source of a recipe that you feel any kind of connection to. And also I use heritage or legacy loosely also, because it doesn't mean that it has to be 20 or 30 years ago. It could be something that you had last summer that is associated with
Struck you, yeah.
a cabin outing that you did with friends. And so I also want to make sure that we don't have so much attention on legacy that it's only way in the past, and that the value of this is as much about the future too, and what recipes we collect now of ours that we're going to share with others too. So it's pass it on, it's collect from the past and pass it on forward too.
And you might add your own twist to it, right?
Oh,
They
for
can
sure. Yeah.
evolve
I think
and-
that's kind of the interesting thing. There's a lot of conversations where someone's like, I don't know, we used to make, the macaroni and cheese with Velveeta or whatever. And sure, we may not want to make it with Velveeta now, which doesn't mean that we get rid of that recipe card. We keep the card, or we keep the note that it's on, or the book that it's in, because that is part of the story.
Mhm.
But then you can update it with, other
I
cheeses.
also do this
And I did
version,
that
yeah.
so my mom used to make these little cheese cracker cookie things for every single party that they had at our house. And she used to use the cheese, the soft, cheese that came in a little jar
Mhm.
that was like a cheese product or whatever they
Sure.
might call it today. And I loved those, but I rewrote the recipe and I included it in one of my cookbooks. So I'm using, grated cheddar cheese instead, and certainly butter instead of oleo. And there's a lot of that conversation that comes up.
Yeah.
I'm going to use, mayonnaise instead of Miracle Whip maybe in things, or you can update things for the way you really want to eat it today, but that doesn't mean that you dismiss the original recipe. Keep the original recipe and maybe have the two side by side in some fashion, so that the original's preserved and that story's still there, but you have it update a little bit for today.
Those jars,
Yeah,
they were solid.
they were solid. And
My
we had,
mom used those for juice glasses
Exactly.
for 50 years. those
Exactly.
little cheese jars.
I'm sure some people still have some of those
Yeah,
jars in their
exactly.
collection for
Plus
sure.
the ones my dad got, he was a traveling salesman, so he got all the promos at the gas stations of the day.
Oh,
So,
remember that.
Oh,
Oh.
absolutely.
literally, if my mom was still alive, I could go back to her cabinet and pick out all the football glasses.
The best
that
part
he
about
got.
those football glasses, it's that the grandchildren fought over them
Oh.
when grandma died. It was like
They left
dibs
her. They left her
on the
silver in the
Browns.
cabinet. But they
They want
wanted
the silver.
the
They want the football glasses. That's awesome. And I think one of the things that I really encourage people to do too is to look at the recipe when you get it, or maybe recipes you've already collected from family that you care about, and make sure that the details are actually there to help you recreate it. Because I think that's also a thing that is a little bit of a sort of a missed opportunity, because very often, it might just say cheese, or it might just say, meat, cut the beef into pieces. And it's like, well, what
Uh-huh.
cut of beef? How, what am I doing with that? Or, the instructions can be super bake, without a temp, or whatever, cook until done, those kind of famously vague recipe directions. So review what you may have, or review the recipes when you receive them, and just double check that there's the info you need, and take
I also
advantage.
think, honestly, you should add a story to them.
Absolutely.
Because your
that's-
mom that hands you a meatloaf recipe, it's just a meatloaf recipe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But when you could say, I had this for every birthday dinner from when I was 12 to I was
Absolutely.
20,
Sure.
because that was my favorite thing my mom ever made. And boom, boom, boom. There's your intro to the recipe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's that connection, and that's what brings it to life. And as I think I may have said last week, like some people will say to me, I don't know, it's just a really boring potato salad. But no, I mean, again, that's that story behind it, the
Yeah.
occasions it was served at, the memories that it stirs up. And I think that one of the things I highly, I really appreciate about this whole process is that we, as the receivers of the recipes, gain something by receiving the recipe and the story, but the person giving us the recipe also gains an understanding of how much that was appreciated. It brings back memories for them. As I said or wrote somewhere recently, it's like even just asking the question about the recipe can spark untold conversations you don't even know are going to come up. And
Right.
that's the beauty of it. That's why I highly recommend cooking alongside people if you have the chance. You go through that beef stew together in the kitchen and say, hey, while it's braising or whatever, hey, tell me about, the times that you cooked it, or when do you remember first cooking it? Honestly, part of why I'm doing this is because I missed a lot of those opportunities with my mom. I have the recipes and I watched her cook them forever as a kid, but I didn't do the thing where I was like, oh, Mom, so this banana bread's from someone named Helen. Who's Helen? I never met a Helen. Like, tell me the story. So I'm also I want to help people avoid that,
Exactly.
And that's something-
lost opportunity.
That's something you've done a lot, like with Terry Rotaro and with all the chefs that you've written cookbooks
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
So now you're applying it to yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I am realizing that I need to sort of take some of my own medicine and go through my mom's book and, find the ones that mean the most to me and try to recreate. I also say that even if the person's gone, in my case, my mom, I have an older sister, I have other family. I can say, hey, do you remember this dish? And what stories can you remember? So it's not, and, you may have other
So-
opportunities to get some stories too.
How does someone put that together in a book that looks nice? You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
There's like, I don't want this little family recipe book that I would send to my sisters to look like a scrapbook. I want it to have some continuity throughout the book. How do you go about that?
That's an area that I need to do a lot more research. There's some online resources. That I'm not going to get the names right off the top of my head, but even if you just Google how to make a family cookbook, you're going to find some sources. Some of them I understand to be a little too templatey, and you can only do like it's a very formal template, and you're not going to have a lot
Which
of
takes the
creative
charm
space.
out of it, right? Yeah.
But I do believe some, like the photo books you might make when you come home from a vacation. I think some of those services, which I have not done yet, so I can't speak to it, but I think some of those services offer opportunities to actually have, create like a
Right.
text book. I mean, a book with text like recipes. I just saw a really cool one recently. Someone created like an old school book that's got like a ring binder and just did it herself as like a Word document or a PDF or something, and wrote, sort of memories with different recipes and took it to, not, to whatever her print shop was in the neighborhood kind
Right.
of thing. So I need to that's something I'm going to do a little more research on and have like a checklist of options. But some people actually, I kind of like the scrapbooky part.
Well,
though.
I do too, except I don't want it falling apart.
Yeah.
I want it to somehow be together.
I've seen some examples. Actually, a friend just texted me a copy of like a ring binder that an aunt or someone in her family made. Everybody, like, I don't know how many, a dozen copies maybe. So they're ring binders, with the plastic folder things in
Right.
them. And so I've seen a lot of that because that allows you to have recipes in different form. It can be you can slip in, a handwritten note or a recipe card in addition to printed pages that you add. So I think those, old school ring
the end of the
binders are
day, you
actually
wanna-
pretty good.
Yeah, you want it in your kitchen. You want to be able to utilize it as a real recipe. And if it's falling, moving around, and it's not good.
Yeah. So I am just really, one thing that I love about this thing I'm on now is just the delightful conversations I get to have and the really touching responses I hear from people. Someone who isn't we're all food people. We live our lives by food. Not everybody does. Somebody who was at an event recently said he hadn't even realized how much memory was tied to food. And it was really touching just to sort of make people think about that.
This is so you. This is your
This is
passion,
so
and
you,
it's
yeah.
awesome. And you are having an upcoming workshop called Preserving Family Holiday Recipes, Saturday, November 9th from 4 to 5:30 at the Sammamish Library. And you just register through the King County Library.
Yeah, if you go to look up the Sammamish Library, either just online or on Facebook, they will have some event page information. So that's going to be a super fun class, and hopefully here at Hot Stove before long.
And so, for those of you who don't know, Cynthia is a food writer and cookbook author. You've done about 1,000 cookbooks in your life, including co-writing Chef Terry's book, Rovers.
Yeah, that was one of the best work things I've ever done in my whole life.
Yeah.
Aw.
Especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah, good memories. Well, we're going to figure out how to put a class together here, because what I'd like to do is have you come do your workshop here at the Hot Stove and take maybe 5 recipes that you've come across, and we can
Oh,
recipes.
sure.
That would
Easy.
be so fun for everyone to eat
Love it.
while
Sign
they're
me
while
up.
they're good fun.
Thanks.
Look for that in January.
Okay.
Me, not so much. On Cairo Radio, we'll be right. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Great. I'm glad we did part 2. I'm glad we did
I
part
know. I
2.
feel like we could do like
I know.
Yeah.
part 7.
Yeah, we'll do it every month.
I'm going to redo that out. I'm going to redo the out from that segment. When we come back, Julia Turshen is here with her new book, What Goes With What? On Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
She brought a book, Tom.
Perfect. Isn't it fun when you get to finally see the copy?
Thank you.
Congratulations on your new book. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hi.
Okay.
I thought I was getting a handout. I thought I was getting a handout.
Cam, can you fix her microphone, please?
Oh, sure. Pretty close.
Closer than you feel like you should be.
She's a seasoned professional, is my guess.
Okay.
Sounds great. I'm an open book.
What?
I'm an open book.
Do you think everybody knows what oleo is?
I don't know what it is.
I think that's a trivia question, not for you. If you see me,
Margarine.
yeah.
Vegetable margarine.
If you see me writing things down when people are talking, it's usually a trivia question.
In my mom's day, it was half the price of butter.
It's
Oh, really? Okay.
And not unlike a lot of things, the corporate big food companies would just push it as
Tell
tastes
that it was
just like
better for
butter.
you, or-
It's a very
Yeah.
common crossword clue.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, because of all the
All
balls,
time,
right?
yeah.
You know, I do crosswords all the time, and I never come across it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like it's constantly. I don't
That's
know.
funny. Now, Mount Etna comes up all the time.
You want to give a little ding on the bell?
All right, we're back in the kitchen. The school bell has rung. Cookbook author and cooking teacher Julia Turshen is here. She's got a new book called What Goes With What? 100 Recipes, 20 Charts, Endless Possibilities. You bet there are. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about your background, because my kid over here is a big fan, and she brought the first book with her.
Oh, wow.
I don't
Well-
even think this is the first book. This is like the 5th
Which one
book,
do you
right?
have? I
I
can't
have
see.
this one.
Yeah, it has a few.
Simply
A few
Julia.
siblings.
So you are a cookbook writer.
Uh-huh. Yes.
You've done this many times
Yeah.
now. This is not your first rodeo. How
Not
did
my
you
first rodeo.
get here?
Yeah, not my first rodeo. It's sort of all I do, which is unusual because I think a lot of people who write cookbooks, do other things. They run restaurants, that kind of thing. So I got here, I guess, a kind of circuitous path, but I've always known I wanted to work on cookbooks. My parents, when I was growing up, my mom, who's here with me today.
Hi, Mom.
My parents both worked in publishing, so I was surrounded by print media. I was surrounded by books and magazines from a really young age. I knew that people made a living creating work like this. So I saw that, up front. And I've just always loved food since before I can remember. I've always felt like a magnetic pull to the kitchen. And I've also loved writing. So I never went to culinary school. I had a liberal arts education, but I studied writing, and specifically I studied poetry, which might not sound like
Big
an
money in
obvious.
that.
Yeah, big money. Yeah, found that out. But I think writing cookbooks benefits from learning how to write descriptively and economically. So I've made it make sense for myself
For
to,
sure.
to justify that
For
education. But yeah, I've worked with a lot of other people on their cookbooks. I've been a co-author, I've been a collaborator. So by the time I did my first solo cookbook, I had already worked on, I think, close to 10 other books by that point. And yeah, one just always seems to lead to another. So
Is there still
yeah.
work out there like that? Co-writing books for
Yeah,
people?
quite
where you-
a lot. I
I
actually
call it ghostwriting, but like
Yeah.
I always, a couple of
Collaborating.
my books had a co-writer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get asked a lot of advice about kind of breaking into food and food media, and I think it's a great way to learn. And yeah, there's still a lot of those jobs available, especially as people who don't just write cookbooks, author cookbooks. So maybe they're busy running their restaurant or a TV show or something. They need support, and I've actually done a lot of work with other people to kind of teach them everything I know about how to collaborate with people on their books.
What's different about writing a cookbook with or for somebody else versus your own?
Sure, scheduling. It is so hard to get that kind of time with people. I was just listening to your last segment about, learning about how to get just your family stories attached to recipes. And so whoever it is, just getting their stories requires time with them where you're asking these questions and, they really have to sit and think and to get that information. It's hard to get that time. So when I'm working on my own books, I realize I have to find that time with
yourself.
So, but yeah, it's just a more efficient process, I would
Okay.
say. Yeah.
But not only are you an author, you host a podcast, Keep Calm and Cook On. And you write a weekly newsletter,
Mhm.
and you do online classes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got
Yeah, I'm
a
busy.
couple things. You
I'm
can.
busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
How's
keep
the
myself-
online class? I mean,
Oh,
how is that?
It's fantastic. I started doing it in 2021 when my last book, the one that you have a copy of, Simply Julia, came out, because that book, all the promotion I did for that book was online. So prior to that, I've been fortunate to do things like I'm doing right now, get to travel, to talk about the book. I actually got to do a cooking class here. I think it was 2018
Yeah.
for a book I did. Which was just great. I mean, this setup, of all the places I've done cooking classes, I'm not just saying this, this is like a very good setup. But when I started promoting my last book and all the promotion was online, I started doing that kind of thing from my home kitchen. And I just fell in love with it because I'm a home cook. I'm a home cook who writes for other home cooks. So getting to teach out of my home kitchen while other people were in their home kitchens cooking is something just clicked for me. And I continued to do it to this day. And I think it's a really cool way to teach, because when your goal is to teach people how to cook at home, if they're in their homes, they're using their own equipment, they are using their own knives, they're having this kind of lived, embodied experience of making that dish in their kitchen. And I think it's just an effective way to teach. And I'm really comfortable and, being at home. And I mean, it's so lovely to be with everyone here. It's also really nice to be at home and teaching people and like no one's in my house. When it's done, it's just
When
done.
it's done, you just put the screen down and get in your bed.
Yeah, a lot less
Yeah.
dishes to clean up.
Yeah.
We moved our entire operation online during COVID.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I want to say 2 weeks after COVID, we did our first one. Amazon hired us to do it
Mhm.
online. 1,600
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's amazing.
the interesting thing to me was like, I've never done this, like blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. It's just like being on
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
Honestly, you are.
Yeah.
That's, I've done a lot of TV. And so
Yeah.
once I figured that out, that took all the angst away from
Yes.
it. Yeah.
It's so funny you say that, because my parents live walking distance from my grandmother, who's 95, and they the three of them tune into my cooking class whenever I have it. It's most
Cute.
Sunday afternoons. And my grandmother thinks I'm on TV every week because she sees me on a screen. So,
Oh.
to her, a computer and
so
a TV.
You're
sweet.
so
Yeah.
famous.
One of the things I'm jealous of you about, just one
Uh-oh,
of the
okay.
things. You're a New York Times bestselling author of Now and Again, Feed the Resistance, Small Victories, Simply Julia, and co-author of in BB's Kitchen, which won a James Beard Award, which I won for my Seattle Kitchen
Yeah.
book. But I have a New York Times bestseller in the Dahlia Bakery Cookbook. You know, it turns out I had all these pre-orders, so I ordered 25,000 books before it ever hit the press, which made it a bestseller. So
Yeah.
you did yours more organically.
You're ratting yourself out.
Well, I didn't. It wasn't something I even considered.
Sure.
But when you see that New York Times bestseller
Okay,
thing,
that's
that's how
numbers.
a number of people do it. Is they
Yeah.
just buy the pre-copies, sometimes give it away, whatever. But you did it for reals.
Well, I appreciate where that's coming from. I think you're giving me too much credit because not all my books have been on the list. I think they get to refer to me as a New York Times bestselling author, but it's not.
As soon
of
as
every
one of
book.
them's on there.
Sure.
I know. It's like the same thing, right?
It's
I
me.
was
But
only on for a
I'll take
week.
the credit. I like that. It sounds that great.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
And you live across the country
Yes. Yeah.
in the Hudson Valley,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. I'm like 2 hours north of New York City. So
Okay.
I'm far from home right now.
That's a
Yeah.
garden basket. That
Yes. Yeah. I actually, between my last book, Simply Julie, and this new book, What Goes With What, it was the first time in my career I didn't go immediately into another book. And I actually spent a season working at a vegetable farm where I still help out a lot. My joke is that I pretend that I still work there because I'm there all the time. So yeah, it's definitely a very nice place to be for ingredients.
How did that affect your writing? I bet there's an organic nature of it. I know my wife is a changed person when she started the vegetable farm for the restaurants.
Yeah. I mean, it did so much for me. It was such an amazing experience. How did it affect my writing? I guess it made me really appreciate how non-labor intensive writing is. Being a farmer is such hard work. It's
so
such
hard.
hard physical work. And I knew that, of course, but to actually do it was, a bit of a shock.
When
So,
I was over
yeah.
there this week, we have two helpers at the farm, Carmen, who runs the house, and Rosie, who runs the farm side, and Jackie, and they were all out with pitchforks trying to get these incredibly huge sweet potatoes out of the ground.
Oh, uh-huh.
The three
Yeah,
of them.
Yeah.
Just working the plant back and forth, trying not
Yeah.
to pierce the potatoes. And they came out, this one sweet potato was 3 pounds.
Wow. That's a
and
big
it was all
potato.
dug in, right?
Yeah.
It dug itself in.
Yeah. I love that forking vegetables.
Yeah.
I love doing that because I'm like one of the bigger people on the farm, and it's a place where it's an advantage because if I stand on the fork, it really gets in
goes.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, watch out.
Yeah.
Well, you're also like a weightlifter,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So you're in there.
Power lifter, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I love lifting the crates, and it's part of why I like going there because everyone's so tired. So I show up and like, let me do
Fresh
it.
energy.
Yeah.
Workout.
I have my Tuesday booze day at my restaurant group, and I lift about between 300 and 400 cases of booze every Tuesday.
That's
and
a lot.
I'm strung like bull.
Yeah.
apparently. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
bet.
I was trying to explain to Carmen, who doesn't speak a ton of English, that I'm strung like bull, sting like a bee, and float like a butterfly. And she just looked at me like,
Crazy
"You're
man."
crazy."
You're none of those things. You are nuts.
All right, when we come back, Julia's going to continue with us and talk about her new book, What Goes With What? On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
And she's going to stay for tasty trivia.
Oh, good.
Oh boy. Why are you doing
I
this
should,
to
I
me,
should say
Becky?
not good. But that's okay.
Oh, good.
Have you always done the show together, or is
No.
that?
No, he had it for 25 years almost. Terry Rotaro was his
Yes. Got it.
co-host, and Terry passed last year.
Yes. Yes.
And so I've been doing it for a
Okay.
year.
Okay.
Yes.
Big shoes to fill.
Big, very
Yeah,
big.
Yeah.
Can't be filled.
Yeah.
But we're doing it a little
Well,
different.
she does
now.
every other week, and Bridget,
Okay.
one of our instructors here,
Okay.
who is stuck in time.
Did you ever meet Bridget when you taught here?
Maybe.
How
Probably.
was your new day?
It was
Event
good
this
it was
morning.
good. I
Yeah.
just didn't realize it wasn't live, so that's why the time. I was
Oh,
like,
it's-
"Don't we have to be on?" And they
No,
were like,
we're
"No,
fine.
no, calm down."
Oh, it's taped.
I was like,
Yeah.
"We're running late."
This or
The
New day.
New day. Yeah.
How, was it a fun experience?
Yeah, it was good. It was
Yeah.
very like they make it very easy. And,
Yeah.
Susie, who's one of the producers, was hosting because I guess their host just left. But she was doing so much. She was like producing, hosting. She was getting everyone's parking verified. I was like, I think you need some help.
What town do you live in?
I'm in a tiny town called Accord. It's like not far from New Paltz.
New Paltz. Okay. I went to Colgate
Oh,
for
okay.
college.
Okay,
So
so
I've driven
Yeah.
driven the route.
That's like true upstate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up by the Finger Lakes
Mhm.
Finger Lakes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
and the Gerber Baby Food Factory.
Yeah. I've never been there. How was that?
And Utica, which was all
Yeah.
like iron, steel,
Yeah.
like a steel town or something.
Good Italian food. In
Yeah,
Utica.
that's-
Yeah.
He loved
And
visiting.
you've
me
never
there.
been back.
I have
My,
not.
my favorite thing about visiting her at campus
Uh-huh.
is that I could be in Paris faster
Right.
from Seattle
Yeah,
than I can
it's-
be
yeah.
to Colgate.
Yeah, fly
Yeah.
to Syracuse. Well, fly to Chicago. Fly to
Anywhere,
Syracuse.
fly anywhere.
Yeah.
Boston, Cleveland, New York.
Yeah.
New Zealand.
4 or 5 hour
Yeah.
drive. Could have
Yeah.
been in Paris.
Yeah. I fly to Newark and then it's like a 2-hour drive. So it's a small taste of that. But
Yeah.
All right, we're back with segment number 2 with Julia Turshen. You have a new book out. You've written so many books. Now and Again, Feed the Resistance, Small Victories, Simply Julia, and a co-author of a very well-known book called BB's Kitchen, In BB's Kitchen. What was that like?
in BB's Kitchen,
Yeah.
that was an amazing experience. Actually, Hawa Hassan, who's the author of that book, spent most of her upbringing in Seattle. So I've been thinking of
Oh.
her while I'm here. But it was cool. That book is interviews and recipes with grandmothers from all of the African countries that touch the Indian Ocean. So helping out on that book was, it was an extraordinary experience.
Yeah, that
So,
sounds like
yeah.
so much fun to me because it's a style of food I know nothing about. All right, your new book.
Yes.
What goes with what? I did a little periphery reading, and it goes from it's like the ABCs of cooking. The way I,
like
looked at
that.
it,
Yeah.
with some of what I thought were interesting pro tips, including like your very first one with the paper towel.
Yes.
I still get like, why do you do that every time I do it here at class here at the hot stove?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about with the paper towel, it's just putting that damp towel under your board so it's not running
it's
around
not.
the counter.
But it's not.
It's not.
And I love the way you explained it. It's not just putting it under there.
Yes.
It gives you what?
It gives you confidence. It gives you the sense of safety and security, and you've set yourself up for success.
Right.
You're not chasing your ingredients and your board while they're moving around.
Because your board
Yeah.
wants to move, right? As
Yeah,
you slice.
yeah.
And so the
Slippery.
paper towel,
Yeah.
it just sets you
Yeah.
up for success.
Yeah. And I think these are the kinds of things that home cooks don't always have access to this kind of information. That's such a given in restaurant kitchens. Us home cooks, I include myself in that community, we're in our kitchens usually by ourselves and there's not someone there being like, oh, do this thing. It's going to make it easier, safer, more efficient. So yeah, I just want to share as much information as I can because I think people are so overwhelmed cooking at home and I just want them to be less whelmed.
I love this book. If I was going to write a cookbook of things that I care about or would love to teach people, I feel like it would be this. That
cool.
idea of just taking, you have one ingredient, how do you put it together into 5 different things with 5 different kind of flavor profiles? To me, and those little tips and tricks, to me, that's what you learn in restaurant cooking or in professional cooking. That when I talk to my friends that are home cooking for their families, and I say, even little stuff just temp your chicken thighs, poke it into the bone in the thickest part when it's the right temperature,
Yeah.
take it out, it's done kind of thing. I think people are in our industry are surprised by that lack of knowledge, and because we take it for granted.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for a really long time.
Yeah.
And most of these end up being mistakes. I'm looking at your tips, which I love the pictures of them. I'm like, yep, did that wrong. Wish I read that before. Yep, broke freezing and grating garlic and ginger on a
Yeah.
microplane. Hello.
Yeah. I'll say that if it is helpful to hear, I've done all those things wrong.
Right.
That's that's how
that's
you
how we
learn.
learn.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that's fine. And it's just, if we all learn a little from all these things and share that information, the less we all have to chase
Advance
our cutting
the ball.
boards around the
You know what I
counter.
thought was interesting over the last minute or two of the conversation was that Loretta said she loved your book because when she cooks in my kitchen, I've written 4 cookbooks. I have opened 20 restaurants. when she cooks in my kitchen, she's kind of glued to an iPhone.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
And never uses a book, but apparently she uses your book. So I'm so thrilled that her college education is coming in
I
handy.
mean, your
somewhere.
books came out like 30 years ago.
Oh,
I'm just gonna stay out of it.
Okay, but your mom is here.
Yeah, yeah.
You worked on the book with your
Yes.
parents.
Yes.
I work with my
Yes.
dad.
Any tips?
Do you flip your
You call
parents
that
off
work?
as much as I flip my dad
I
off?
don't think so. it was such a joy to work with my parents on this. So my parents, I mentioned before, they both have worked in publishing for a long time, not in writing or not in cookbooks, but specifically, but mostly in like editing and a lot in design. They met, my mom was an art director at a magazine and hired my dad as a graphic designer, was their meet cute story. And
did HR know about this?
that's a great question. So far, so good. They've been married for like over 40 years. So yeah, I think it's okay. And all the other books I've worked on, my own, other people's books, when it came to the design of the books, everything I had worked on had been done in-house, meaning the publishers had like a designer who would design it. And anytime I had, just thoughts about the design, I always went to my parents and kind of consulted with them. They gave me advice. If something didn't feel right, but I didn't have the words to describe how I wanted it to change, they could help me with that vocabulary. But then when I had the opportunity to do this new book, What Goes With What, the publisher I worked with, they were going to hire a freelancer. So they said, is there anyone you'd like to work with? And I thought, oh, maybe I could actually work with my parents this time. And it was so much fun. I loved working with them on it. They're just such a funny pair and complement each other so well. And my dad's very detail oriented. My mom's more big picture. Do you agree? Thumbs up. Yeah. And they're also just very decisive about just the aesthetics of all of this stuff. So where I would feel like, I don't know which picture to choose, like they're really good at being like this one. And for
This
this
is the
reason.
one,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's helpful to have that kind of thing. So yeah, it was really fun to work together and to sort of finally make it like official, I would
Mhm.
say. Yeah.
Tom, Loretta, a cookbook in the future?
I
just got the sting
I'll do
eye.
an online recipe for it. So that's sort of kind of- I love, it's cookbooks are classics to me. I collect them. I have 4,000 cookbooks,
Wow.
blah, blah, blah. But Dory Greenspan's been in this kitchen many
Yes.
times with her. She's always on book tour somewhere. And she wrote about this new book, What Goes With What. What Goes With What is an inspiring, joyous book, which I think is a really good word for this book. A chock-a-block with so much that's helpful, so much that's smart, which is like there's those things you kind of hit yourself in the head. Why didn't I think of that before, right? And so much that's delicious. And my favorite line of hers in her endorsement is, "Julia is our best friend in the kitchen."
That's sweet.
So
Oh
sweet.
my word, that is so awesome.
Is that not exactly what you want everybody to say about
Yeah.
you? I mean, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
I don't even know what to say about that. Dory is amazing. And
She's a feisty one, that one.
She is, and she's so supportive of other authors, and I really admire that. You want to hear a fun little Dory Greenspan
Yeah.
fact?
Yes, please.
So my mom, who's here, who I keep talking about, grew up in Brooklyn, and my mom's parents, who I never had the opportunity to meet, they ran a bakery. They ran a bread bakery. And Dory Greenspan and her family grew up buying bread from my
Oh,
mom's
wow.
parents,
Oh.
which we only figured out kind of recently. But yeah, very
That is
small
so
world.
sweet.
Loretta, go back to what you were saying about the charts that are in the book. And like, for example, I haven't got to that part of the book yet. So let's just say chicken thigh, or maybe
Mhm.
Julia, you should do this.
Sure,
chicken
yeah.
thigh. Do you have a spreadsheet of how
Yeah.
that thigh works into other recipes then?
Spreadsheet for the thigh. Yeah. So the
That sounds like
Back to the honey maple bush.
maybe my next book. So yeah, what makes this book, I think, different from my other books, and what makes me so excited about it is, these charts that are throughout the book. So there's 20 of these charts, and they each cover not so much specifically an ingredient, but like a type of dish. So like salad dressings, soups, salads, sandwiches, pastas. I don't know, there's 20 of them,
Uh-huh.
baked goods, all sorts of things. And the chart gives you essentially like a formula. Like it gives you the elements that I think are very important to make a great version of any of those things I just named: salad dressing, soup,
Uh-huh.
etc. And then there's examples. So you see the formula in action, you see how it works. And
So you see a salad dressing, a
Yes.
vinaigrette, we'll
yeah,
say.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Or,
So
or
yeah,
like in a salad, you have the salad and then you have the base. crunchy things, rich thing, and then the dressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it goes down with all the different types
Yeah.
of salads.
Yeah. So to me, those are the elements of like a really great salad. So then I give you examples. There's like a Caesar salad, there's chopped salad, different ones. And then the recipes follow for each example. And that's basically the book. But my hope with it is that, not only is it, I hope, a nice collection of recipes people enjoy, but the charts really give you the information to understand what goes with what, why all
Yeah.
these things work.
Blueprint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. A blueprint's a great
Well, and
word.
it's visual in a way. Like for me,
Yeah.
that's a much easier way for me
Yes.
to learn something than it is to like read it out in
Yeah.
list
Same.
form. And I think it makes it more approachable. When you
Yeah.
look at that, you're like, okay, it's actually only 4 things
Yeah.
that I need to worry about here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm definitely a visual learner. And that's part of why I'm so delighted to share the charts, because I think there's a lot of us. And, we all learn in different ways. But for anyone who learns in this kind of way, I think it's a really useful tool. And it's the first time I've been able to show rather than tell how I think about food. Like in all my other books, I've offered variations and riffs, and I've told everyone about, if you just see that like all salads have these things in common. But it's one thing to say that or read it, but to actually just see it on one page, I think allows you to just digest it. Yeah,
And once people understand the framework, they've got the confidence that they can
Exactly.
put things together on their own.
exactly.
I had a salad the other night that shiitake mushroom, roasted butternut squash, little baby arugula. But what really brought the salad together was the toasted hazelnuts.
Yeah.
On top.
Mm.
Yeah.
It just added a magic.
You had the
touch.
crunch. Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
flavor, that
Yeah.
roasty flavor
Yeah.
for a fall salad.
hmm
And so that's
Yeah.
those elements are
Yeah.
important. Even
That
though it
sounds
seemed like a
delicious.
little finish,
Mhm.
it was super important.
Did you make it or you?
No,
No.
I had it at a restaurant. It was
Yeah,
really good.
it sounds so good.
Saltoro restaurant up in the North End. So,
Fantastic.
What Goes With What is the name of the book. 100 recipes, 20 charts, endless possibilities, by Julia Turshen. That's Turshen. And
Hopefully we're saying that right.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
okay.
You got it.
and you've been here this week working at the Book Larder. with
Yeah.
Laura.
Tonight. Yeah.
You have tonight a talk with Kenji at the Book Larder, right?
Yeah. Actually, Molly Weisenberg's
Molly
doing
Weisenberg,
it. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how do people find you otherwise for your cooking classes,
Sure.
your podcast, your newsletter?
Yeah. So all of that is at my website, which is just juliaturshen.com. So
So
it's
simple.
got links to everything. Yeah.
Yay.
It's all there.
I thought I was the only one old enough to have my name as my .com.
That's awesome.
How did you get that? How many years have you had that?
That's a great question. I've never met a Turshen I'm not related to. It's not the most common name.
So your mom got around?
Whoa.
Just kidding. Okay, it's time for food for thought. Tasty
Yes,
trivia.
it is.
Yeah.
Cairo
Julie's
Radio,
gonna
and you're
stay.
going to stay.
Should I be nervous?
No,
No.
you shouldn't be. You're
Okay.
gonna kick our butt.
Unfortunately, we're probably the victims. This week. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Loretta, a listener asked if you were going to, she says, wouldn't it be hilarious if Loretta dressed up her kids like Hercules, Adonis, and Athena? If so,
for Halloween.
Please show photos.
Just my
Please
little
share
like
photos.
Greek toga kids for Halloween.
That listener is Carol Bausch.
Oh my.
That's super cute.
3 kids?
I have 3.
Wow,
Yeah, I
that's
have
a lot.
a 3.5-year-old and I have 1-year-old twins.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're not bored.
They're being Hercules is being an astronaut
Okay.
and Adonis and Athena are being aliens and Ben and I are being outer space.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love a family costume.
If you trick or treat at our house, you and Ben get a choice. I have
Yeah, we'll be there.
12
Don't worry.
different minis this year
Oh,
for
what
He
the
do you
gives
What's the
adults.
nips
range?
out to the parents.
From limoncello
Uh-huh.
to Irish whiskey.
Did you have fun
Smart.
shopping?
Yes.
Yes.
It's very smart.
All right. Ready, set?
Ready, set.
No. I've been doing so badly recently.
I like it. Wow.
Twice in a show.
Twice in a show. They can see that on
Hi,
TV.
YouTube.
You're number one.
I'm sweet. I want to address the comments from last week too, real quick. You'll hear. Did you get those letters? Okay.
The trolling comments?
Yeah, the Pollock letters.
They deleted them and everything.
Still want to address it.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society Show. It's time for the It's
Food for thought. Tasty
it's time
trivia.
for the Rub with Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia. No tricks, just treats when Rub with Love is on the menu. Of course, that's my spice rub line we sell around the country. Stop by and visit us in Ballard at Serious Pie, downtown at Seatown, north of the market, and right here at the Hot Stove Society, or any of 5,000 retail locations around the country that sell our product. You can also go to our website, tomdouglas.com, or find Rub with Love on Amazon, fulfilled by your buddy Stan. Stan is an amazing guy.
Awesome.
I also want to say, last week we had Pollock producers
Yes.
on, and we got some letters that didn't agree with our positioning on that.
Postings.
Always send a letter. That's fine. We'll be
Okay.
happy to either read it on air or, look up the facts where we were wrong or something like that. Don't worry about it. Certainly don't stop listening because,
Right.
we're good people.
Open-minded conversation.
Exactly. Becky, tell us how we're going to play our game and who's going to win and what they're going to win.
Well, the winner, we don't know yet, Tom, is going to pick out an
I think we
audience
do.
member for a 3-pack of the Rub with Love Spice Blend.
Ooh.
And we have a special guest today, Julia Tershin, and she's going to go second. We'll have Loretta go first so you can see how it's done.
Okay.
And Julia's book, by the way, is What Goes With What? 100 Recipes, 20 Charts, and Endless Possibilities.
Yes. Exciting.
Which means she is going to know the answers to these trivia questions.
No
We'll see.
pressure.
Well, this
No
is all
pressure.
Halloween.
Trina's going to help me today. We're
Okay, there you go.
I know sign language other than this.
Well, today's questions are Halloween themed. So, Loretta, here we go. Number 1, what is the protein in a sushi spider roll?
Fried crab.
Yes, it is. Tempura battered soft shell crab. Good job. To look like little
Wow.
spider legs.
Did you know that Halloween is my 41st anniversary?
Oh, congratulations. Coming up. That's sweet. You're gonna be home.
We'll see.
Okay, we'll see. Number 2, which spooky ingredient often used in pasta and risotto has a jet black color and adds a rich, briny flavor to dishes?
ink.
Squid ink. Yes.
Good job.
Well, you know him. You should talk louder.
With pride. Okay, number 3, multiple choice. What was the original vegetable used to make jack-o'-lanterns in Ireland and Scotland? Was it beets, turnips, or cabbage?
Ireland and Scotland. Cabbage.
It was actually people in Ireland, Scotland. They carved scary faces into turnips to ward off legendary evil spirits like Stingy Jack, hence jack-o'-lantern.
Oh,
You
Nope.
know.
The
More
more you
you
know.
And you're part Scottish
There you go.
and Irish.
and Irish.
Okay, number 4, according to candystore.com, M&Ms have dethroned Reese's Cups as the top Halloween candy for the first time ever. True or false? Mars Incorporated uses synthetic food dyes like red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, and blue 1 for their M&Ms in the US, while in Europe they use natural alternatives due to stricter regulations.
I'm assuming it's true.
That is true.
Hopefully it's going to change with California changing their laws around food dyes. Hopefully
Exactly.
it
Well, hopefully they'll do it for the whole nation.
Yeah.
In Europe they use colorings like beetroot, red, and spirulina, and I don't think they taste different. I've had a lot of M&Ms.
You can also get red out of beetles.
Yes.
Yes.
That sounds creepy.
It's Halloween.
That's true. That fits. Okay, for your final question, would you like to finish the punchline of a joke or answer a have you ever question? They're all Halloween and they're G-rated.
I would like a have you ever.
Okay. Loretta, have you ever eaten most of the candy you bought for trick-or-treaters before Halloween even started, and then you had to go scramble out to get more?
Absolutely.
Good job. All right.
I'm actually allergic to chocolate. So at this point,
Wow.
I purposefully buy chocolate candy
Uh-huh.
so that I don't have like the gummy candy sitting
Sure.
around. So that
Perfect. That's a
will
great
gorge on.
strategy. Well, you got 4 out of 5.
All right, that's not bad.
Excellent. Okay. Julia, you ready?
Okay.
Okay.
As I'll ever be. Yes.
Number 1, which vegetable associated with warding off vampires in folklore is commonly used to flavor dishes?
garlic.
Garlic. Good job. Number 2, according to a survey of 10,000 people across the nation, which Halloween candy made it into both the top most popular and the top worst candy list? Was it Good and Plenty, candy corn, or Tootsie Rolls?
I'm gonna say candy corn.
You got it.
Yeah.
Good job.
That is so
Sorry,
lame.
Loretta. What is
I
the-
have always hated candy corn.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
People love her. It's like
Yeah,
cilantro.
it's-
People
yeah,
love
it's
her.
a
He was
lover
the
hate.
only
hate.
one that was on the top good
Yeah.
and the top bad. All right. What is the name of the spiky fruit often used in Southeast Asian cuisine that is known as the corpse apple due to its foul odor but surprisingly sweet flavor?
Durian.
Durian, you
Yeah.
got it. Durian.
So
Durian.
I mean, tastes
Number
good.
4.
About the size of your head.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's big.
not bigger. It's
Yeah.
It can be super.
I think
big.
illegal on the subway
Yes,
in
'cause
Singapore because it
it-
smells so
Wherever
bad.
it's
But it
grown,
tastes
'cause it's
amazing.
sticky.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it
It's
tastes
true.
amazing.
In
Yeah.
public places and the
Yeah.
subway. Which classic cocktail, often garnished with an eyeball olives and celery bones, is perfect for adding a spooky twist to your Halloween party?
Celery and olives, I guess a Bloody Mary.
A Bloody Mary.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
job. Okay, final question. Would you like to answer the punchline of a joke or a have you ever question?
What do you recommend?
They're both pretty darn cute.
Okay.
She's very
I'm gonna
pleased
let
with
you
herself.
choose. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give them both to you.
Okay.
Why do skeletons eat spicy food?
Why do skeletons eat spicy food?
No, why don't?
Why don't?
Yeah.
Why don't skeletons eat spicy food? I'm trying to think about something with bones. I don't know. Why don't
Because they don't have the guts. Okay, so now I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself.
I like that.
Have you ever saved the best Halloween candy for yourself and given the trick-or-treaters the leftovers like Loretta?
Well, so to answer this truthfully, my spouse Grace and I don't get any trick or treaters. We live kind of in the middle of nowhere, so we just buy candy whenever we want.
I like how you just gave that to her.
Yeah. So
It's good to be the guest.
good to be the guest.
It's very nice. To
That's
be the
5
guest.
out of
Yeah.
5.
All right. That's
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, Tom, your turn. This Halloween staple pie ingredient is technically a fruit and was used, I'll show this so Trina can't see, it was used by early American settlers to make beer. What is it? Halloween
We're
staple
gonna
pie
repeat
ingredient.
that. Trina and I were just getting our little.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Tom, number 1. This Halloween staple pie ingredient is technically a fruit and was used by early American settlers to make beer. What is it?
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin, you nailed it. Number 2, before pumpkins were used in the US, what other vegetable was commonly used in England to make jack-o'-lanterns? We know it was turnips in Scotland and Ireland, but was it in England large beets, turnips, or cabbage?
I'm going to say turnips.
It's large beets. All right. Number 3, what is the name of the rich chocolatey cake that is considered a sinful counterpart to the light and airy angel food cake?
What did you say? Devil's food cake.
Devil's food cake. Good job with a little help from my sister. Number 4, which fiery hot pepper known for its extreme heat has a spooky name that makes it perfect for Halloween themed dishes?
The ghost pepper
The
or
ghost
the grim
pepper.
reaper.
Oh, that's good.
Oh,
I just had the
yeah.
guts.
I get an extra point for that.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Your final question, joke or have you ever?
Have you ever?
Okay. Have you
That last joke was horrible, by the way. I would get like such a guffaw, like that's such a dad joke.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think we'll see about this one. Which is scarier to you? Sean, can you repeat that or redo that? Which is scarier to you, to run out of food or beverages at a Halloween party?
For me, beverages.
Beverages.
Yeah.
All
for
right.
sure. The last year I put out all the extra candy because we had to go out for our anniversary dinner. And one person took them all, and I could care less.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, didn't you get that on film?
Yeah, we do have it. Jackie's car took a video of it.
That's awesome. Well,
The
congratulations.
Rivians have a camera inside that take videos.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Julia,
exactly.
you're
So-
gonna after the show, you're gonna get to pick out a winner.
Amazing.
From our audience.
All
Thank
right.
you for playing.
Good job, Julia. If you
Thank
want to be
you.
part of the show, you can join the community on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas & Co. or just buy a ticket and join us right here in the studio at hotstovesociety.com. The show is produced by Becky Guzak. Our technical wizard today was Cameron Thomas, and our talented editor at Cairo is Sean. Please don't call me Spooky. If you miss any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app.
Thank you for listening. Happy Halloween.
Okay, we just need quiet on the set for one 30-second promo. Hi, I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
I'm Loretta Douglas.
Today on the Hot Stove Society radio show, we're wrapping up National Seafood Month with Alaska Red Crab. Backed by popular demand, Cynthia Nims is here for part 2 of Preserving Family Recipes. And we're excited to have New York Times bestselling author Julia Turshen. She is here to share her new cookbook, What Goes With What.
All right.
Beautiful.
Well done.
Thanks, Julia, for
Yeah.
staying. And
That was fun. Yeah.
yes, absolutely.